この世で俺に生きている喜びを実感させてくれる殺すべき他者が存在している。
Oh, he does have the whole killing people makes me feel alive. It's not the love thing. Okay. I forget about that part of Gaara's character.
Gaara was the first of many twisted Naruto parallels that appeared in the series, but
many.
he also served as a combination of previous conflicts Naruto...
Pause. Lonely, spiky-haired boy. Gaara. Lonely, spiky-haired boy. The orange-haired Path of Pain. Lonely, spiky-haired boy. Obito. Come on now. He is a bum to keep doing this.
No.
There's like
Stroke
one time where it's just like if you pick Naruto and Pain in one of the games and put them side by side, the exact same hair. He's a bum.
No.
Kishimoto is a bum. Oh. Prove me wrong.
Genius.
Well, I'm proven wrong. Good.
Overcome. Like Neji, Gaara had been shackled to a predetermined destiny of his own. He would
Okay. Are we doing this? Are we just going to constantly talk about this destiny thing? Because if you're shackled to a predetermined destiny and you go off of that path, then that was not your predetermined destiny. I cannot believe how many times we have to explain what destiny and fate mean. Because if you're circumventing or going around it, then that actually was never your destiny and or fate.
I feel people should use path more. Because paths can be diverted as opposed to destiny and fate, which are, by definition, unavoidable.
It is just you believe you're going to a side road, but it's just a straight line.
Yes.
That's all fate and destiny is. Whereas path, hey, there's like 7 paths. Which one am I going to take?
There's 2 paths. There's a left and a right. You think that you should go left, that's what your destiny is, but you go right, but it was always your destiny to go right. So you're not circumventing anything.
Whereas path, there's a left and a right. You believe you should go left, but you actually go right.
But it's a lot more catchy and snappy to go destiny and fate and all that.
But it's more incorrect.
Sure, but do you think people care?
Absolutely not.
There you go. The video makers don't care, and people just internalize destiny as just destiny.
Like I said,
and then people when they go, people break destiny and go, well, they broke their destiny, not even thinking what that means.
Like I said to you, I got into a discussion with somebody where it was just like, it's fine if people don't want to think about the difference between good and thing I like, if they want to conflate that thing. It's just like, no, you shouldn't do that, because the enjoyment you derive from the medium is different from the quality you believe the medium to be.
Yes.
So that they're like, it's fine if they want to think it's the same thing.
People ain't trying to listen to that.
So, there are people that are just like, oh yeah, fate. And it's just like...
And then that's it.
And that's cool.
Like, I know what fate means. And then you go, oh, they broke their fate. And they go, yeah, they did. And not even thinking what it means. And that's a problem.
Ever be hated. And like Haku, he had been left without a purpose for living. Gaara was born with a monster trapped inside of him, and he had been cast aside by his village just like Naruto. As a child, he craved friendship and acceptance, but was denied these things at every turn, constantly met with the same contemptuous glare. Eventually, after he was betrayed by the only person whom he thought loved him, Gaara did what Neji refused to do and embraced his fate. He decided
Wow, embraced his fate? Are you serious? That's not what happened. He just went, oh, this world trash.
And that was his fate. And he embraced it.
So then Naruto breaks it?
Yes. And that is also fate.
Okay. I would be more receptive of fate if people said they broke their perceived fate.
Yes, perceived fate would mean a lot.
Because it's the thing they believe it to be.
We don't know what the fate of Gaara was supposed to be when he is a child. So there's no reason to say that this is his fate. When we're just like, is it? Does he believe this? And also, the uncle was an appointed guardian of just like, take care and foster this child until the Hokage was just like, nah, kill him. It's over. Why did Naruto not have that?
I guess Gaara was way more unstable. Naruto had a seal. He was just kind of a goofy kid. Gaara was just like, oh no, it's Gaara, and then he's killed somebody walking down the street. It's like, hey, here's your ball. Oh no, it's Gaara, and they run away, and he snatches up 7 kids. Maybe we should put that one down.
But wouldn't you want to foster the kid who got the button to the nuke and the kid who just has to unlock the button to the nuke?
I would, but if let's say the kid that has the button to the nuke is just like shaky hand, finger always on a nuke, and you gotta release it like a dead man's lever on a train, and shaky hand constantly, so you never know when that nuke's just gonna slip off and what is gonna happen. So I would probably be like, let's kill that kid and bring in a steady hand man.
Families were mere hulls of flesh connected by hatred and murderous intent, and that he could only survive off the suffering of others. Killing became his purpose. Isolation became his vindication. Or did it?
Whoa. I'm sorry, that was so like 1970s gangster like detective thing. They found the real killer. Or did they? It's like the Rick and Morty when Morty was listening to the dude with the script and it was just like they're like, no.
人の孤独を知る目そしてそれがこの世の最大の苦しみで
But
ある
doesn't
ことを
Rock Lee also have those eyes?
I think watching your parents get murdered by your brother is a lot more than, hey, here's Poopy Pants Lee that can't do jutsu.
First off, he did not watch his parents. They were already dead.
Yeah, okay.
And second, like, that doesn't... What friends does Lee have? At least Naruto had those 3 lies of him hanging out with Kiba and crap. What do we see of Lee?
Okay, Lee may not have friends, but he's not suffering in the way that Sasuke did.
Okay. Let's table that. He saw Naruto.
Yeah. But Naruto has hopeful eyes.
But doesn't Sasuke hope that he would kill Itachi?
But that's like...
That's a motivation.
It's absolutely a motivation, but it's suffering with the motivation of hate and blah, blah, blah. Because the Uchiha is all about hate.
They are.
So I think it's, a little different from, Sasuke, Naruto going, I farted to win and blah, hey, Hinata, and da-da-da. And then Sasuke's here like, oh, you a piece of shit.
Did we ever see any of the kids treat Naruto differently because he has the fox?
No. We saw the parents pull him away like, yo, don't play with that kid.
No, I'm talking about like, teenagers. When they walked into the Chunin exam, just like, that's Shikamaru. Nobody was just like, ugh, get away from me, Fox. I think Ino did.
Maybe.
But you would think that...
But no, I think she treated Naruto more like Goofy. Like, remember Sakura when she first, like, oh, that's just in Naruto.
But why wasn't she like, oh, that's that in Fox? She wasn't like... She wasn't like...
know he has the fox? Or so do they just know their parents hate him and tell him to stay away?
But why, Daddy? Because.
Yeah.
But children are rebellious. You can't keep an eye on the kids 24/7.
Absolutely. That's why, they're in detention hanging out.
I'm pretty sure the infamous swing scene, they were just like, that's Naruto, he got the fox.
Maybe some parents did. But they might have been
whispering.
whispering.
We don't know too much. We don't know enough. And the more that we know, the worse that this gets.
あることを知っているね。言ったはずだ。お前は俺と同じ目をしていると。力を求め、憎しみと殺意に満ち満ちているね。
Yeah.
己を孤独という地獄に追い込んだ者を殺したくてうずうずしている目だ。
One cannot truly feel hatred without first experiencing love, and therein lies Gaara's conflict. He claimed that he killed to feel alive, and in doing so, he held isolation above all. But in truth, Gaara hated being alone. The very source of his hatred, represented by the kanji that he carved into his skin as a child, was his wish to be loved. He tried to abandon this desire by loving himself, but he could never fully do so. To Gaara, a meaningful battle wasn't just a physical deathmatch, it was a scenario in which one individual waged their purpose against another's.
Where are you getting that information from?
Implications.
Okay, so what was the implication for the forest dude that he carved up?
Indeed. Indeed. Sometimes people are just walls. And he goes, I can overcome this wall. This is definitely looking far too much into it.
Absolutely. This is like you're in an escape room and you're like, hey, this means something, and it's just like,
That
hey,
means literally.
hey, put that down, it means nothing.
Against another's. And by losing the battle, that person would lose their reason to exist. In both Sasuke and Naruto, Gaara was confronted by an opponent who shared personal ties with others. Since Sasuke's conviction was split between his desire to protect his comrades and his desire for vengeance, he was defeated. Against Naruto,
That wasn't the reason. We wasn't strong enough. That wasn't an ideological battle. That was a battle where I am stronger than you, and thus I win.
Your conviction is split, and thus it is not strong enough to defeat my conviction. You are 50-50 conviction. I am 100 conviction.
It's just this big mind conviction battle. It's like two hockeys clashing. That's what she sees here. Just like, conviction. And then Sasuke just falls down like, it wasn't strong enough. You weren't there yet.
What is this?
It's looking deeply into it, so much so that I have to make this poignant. Why did Sasuke lose? Not because he wasn't strong enough, because his convictions weren't strong enough. But Gaara's was.
He was half getting taken over by the Shikaku.
Yes.
The conviction did he have in that moment? Kill? Oh, so your kill my kill is stronger than your protect and a little sprinkling of vengeance.
Yes, absolutely. Because Gaara, not only does he have his kill, he has the Shikaku's kill. That's 2 times kill. Kill cubed, cube squared.
So I'm 100, you're 50-50?
Yes.
So why did Naruto's 100 be his 100?
Well, she's going to explain that.
it was Gaara's resolve that faltered.
See?
After Naruto had learned...
Wow! See?
What? No, this is not the story presented here.
Isn't it?
No!
Oh.
They both punch each other. And Gaara fell, and Naruto fell, and Naruto crawled and cried, and Gaara went, dang, you right.
Yes. That is what happened.
Because Naruto
That is the only
strong
thing that
enough.
happened. Because we're ignoring here all the fights between the half transformed and then the fully transformed, and then we gotta wake him up. The punch was, when he woke him up, that was a punch of conviction. The headbutt. It was a headbutt, as a matter of fact. That was the headbutt. That was the headbutt of him just going, my beliefs are stronger than yours, and then he headbutts him, and then that's what allowed him to win. And Gaara's not good at taijutsu, and Naruto is. So he punches him. They both fall 50 stories and live.
With no ill effects. No broken bone.
That's what I was talking about. I'm like, dang, that did happen.
They fell quite a way.
But yeah, I'm guessing that's, but again, that's just talk no jutsu. It's just, I'm showing you why you are wrong. When Sasuke even if he could, Joe, I'm showing you why you were wrong. It wouldn't have mattered because he still has the strength advantage.
Upbringing, he viewed Gaara as a manifestation of the monster he himself could have become, as well as a reminder of his own.
But why didn't he?
Because he had the friendship of Shika and Choji and Kiba redacted.
I never had any friends. I only hung out with Black Bar myself.
But yeah, this is just Pain and Obito. They are mirror reflections of Naruto. This is a continuous thing that keeps happening.
Also, this is almost done and it's 3 minutes.
Oh goodness.
So what is the rest of this video? Dude, this is about to be an okie doke, isn't it?
I don't believe so.
Half the video is going to be something else.
Has more integrity than to okie doke us.
Dark past that he wanted to leave behind. Because of this,
Terrible
Gaara
show.
impacted him in a way that no one else in the Chunin exams could. Where Neji had angered Naruto, Gaara terrified him. Where Naruto had been itching to fight Sasuke, Rock Lee, and others, he wanted to avoid Gaara altogether. That is, until the lives of his allies.
Was that because of ideological differences or because of Gaara's overwhelming strength?
And wanting destruction to kill people.
Were it not for Guy, they would be dead. Or at least, maybe not Naruto, but Shika's dead.
That is, until the lives of his allies were at stake. Unlike Gaara, who believed that isolation gave him strength, Naruto's power came from his connections.
The power of friendship?
Yes.
That you yourself said is not a thing?
Yes. The power of friendship is good only when it is. But then when it's not, it's not. Cool. But this is the moment where it is, and that's why he's able to win. Because isolation bad and friends good.
Unlike Sasuke, Naruto's commitment to his comrades was absolute. He initially feared Gaara.
As opposed to Sasuke, who was just kind of half measure. And
Wavering.
kind of want to protect Sakura.
Oh, you're crushing her, but you know, me, ow. How many kunai do I have?
Oh, my lace is untied. Dang, let me get them real quick. I don't want to be tripping while I save her, yo. Like,
His conviction was such that he went over his Chidori limit and was threatened to be taken over by the curse mark to save a friend. How is that not strong enough? He's risking...
I try my hardest to work in a little hand reference. My other hand isn't strong enough.
You take my little hand.
But I had nothing.
Failure.
Hell, but that was the fate that I was always predestined to be.
Exactly.
I'll overcome it when next session I will have a little hand joke.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I will not have a little hand joke.
Fate wins
Similar
again.
Background, but also because he, unlike Naruto, had managed to fight for himself while remaining isolated. He was afraid of the possibility that embracing solitude would make one stronger than those who had escaped it. When forced to fight him, however, Naruto recalled Haku, another shinobi who once stood at the center of solitude, and was reminded that loneliness does not lead to power. Only by protecting others could...
Hey! Haku almost killed them and would have killed them if he wanted to.
Absolutely.
Haku was absolutely stronger than the mugs. What are you talking about?
Like, Pain. Pain was very powerful. And he was very like, I'm doing this myself. 7 paths of pain. All me.
Wiped out the village.
You think
wiped out
Naruto?
Naruto?
Think Madara isn't isolated? Madara's murking fools without like Obito in the background, without the 6 paths of pain that he got from Obito. He got on the battlefield and he was destroying the entire forces to the point where he started dropping meteors on them. Isolated. Like, And let's not forget, God is insanely powerful. he is. He just is.
Truly become strong. And because Naruto's ideals were unwavering, he won. Gaara.
Sasuke's ideas were wavering, so he lost.
This is the worst of the Talk No Jutsu stuff that she's explained so far.
Yes. Because you need to somehow fit it in. And it's very difficult to fit this one in. You can't just go Naruto won because his strength. You have to go, look, he's talking to Gaara. And what are they talking about? They're talking about their convictions and stuff. And Gaara's just, somebody who stands for nothing will fall for anything. And that's what Gaara is. But Naruto isn't. This is terrible.
Wavering, he won. Gaara, on the other hand, couldn't let go of his lingering longing for love. And as such, he lost.
だからこいつは強いのか
Oh, double up on the Naruto sauce?
Maybe triple.
That's still not enough.
Nope, it most certainly is not.
Dude, this is an okie doke.
It might be.
This is an okie
It
doke.
might be. All right.
There's no way
We don't know that yet.
on
Let's see how the
okey-dokes.
video goes before we start stamping it with the okay.
強い。なぜならお前も俺と同じ孤独の痛みを知る者だ。そしてその痛みが人を強くする。
So
だから
pause.
こそその
So Haku grew up in loneliness. Gaara grew up in loneliness. Sasuke grew up in loneliness. Pain grew up in loneliness. Obito grew up in loneliness. Do you see an issue here?
Yeah. There should have been more villains for the thing.
Kishimoto got one story to tell. And by God, he's gonna tell it.
Kishimoto got one story to tell. Wow.
It's just the stuff around it that's different, but
One story.
that story's gonna get told.
だからこそそのつながりを断つことで俺はさらなる強さを手に入れる。
As I mentioned previously, Sasuke was weak because he lacked conviction. He stood at a crossroads with two paths laid out
Pause.
before him.
What conviction stopped him from beating Gaara in that moment? There was no conviction.
He was 100% in.
He charged up his Chidori to the point where he went over his limit. It's not like he was like, oh, I gotta just keep doing fireball jutsus because I gotta conserve my chakra. No.
Brother's path, the path of finding strength in his hatred, and then there was Naruto's path, the path of finding strength in bonds. Would he embrace his anger and take everything upon himself, or would he reject his anger and find solace in friendship? He was torn between two ideals, unable to fully commit to either, and eventually
He was fully committed the second that got appeared in Sakura. I don't care what you say.
So if he had committed to the friendship side, what would have changed in the Gaara fight? If he had committed to the hatred side, what would have changed in the Gaara fight?
he would get his wake-up call in the form of Itachi, who had returned to the village not to confront Sasuke, but instead to retrieve Naruto. When Sasuke challenged his brother, he was brushed aside and met with a response.
今お前などに興味はない。
Sasuke had spent years preparing for this chance meeting with Itachi, but his wishy-washy efforts had gotten him nowhere.
Wow, he's training so f***ing hard. He trained so hard for this. Itachi's just too stupid strong.
Yes. That is literally what it is. It's not wishy-washy efforts because guess what? Up until this point, between the ages of, let's say, 6 to 13, he was committed into the hatred route.
Training hard as...
No friends. Imagine somebody else just going, oh, every single woman, girl in this village wants me. Well, guess what's going to happen here? But he wasn't like that. He shut himself off. So you telling me that between the Haku fight and here is where he's just like, oh man, I'm so weak. Even though I've learned how to do the Chidori. I've grown it. I've learned a whole new technique. I've bettered my techniques. I'm super duper fast now. But for some reason, my conviction is not enough to beat him. If I had the proper conviction and all else remains, I would have beat him. What are you talking about?
But his wishy-washy efforts had gotten him nowhere. Naruto, who had stayed true to his conviction, was getting stronger, while Sasuke, split between love and hate, was falling behind.
That is not what happened.
Had it not been for the transformation of Chikaku, Sasuke would have won. He had a Chidori to his chest. He was getting stronger. It's just that Naruto got the busted fox. He got a busted technique. Now he's looking at it purely as strength. Like, oh my goodness, look at that big old hole that made. The Chidori is a killer. What? And what about friendship made Naruto stronger? He trained under a sensei just like Sasuke did. He improved almost none. But Sasuke, he can at least say, I got that super speed and I got the Chidori.
Naruto just got a Rasengan.
Oh, he got the Toad as well. But the Toad isn't like, oh no, is this happening? But the Toad isn't like, But he's improved his all of his techniques and stuff. He's gotten stronger. He's just not getting stronger fast enough, and he's hurt by the fact that Itachi is super strong. Itachi, not even with Kisame, took out 3-4 Jonin, master of the Genjutsu Kurenai. Her one specialty was baby moded in Itachi.
And this is after years of more training for them and more mission.
Kakashi is all about the Sharingan. And in a nanosecond, he's on the ground and they're like, what the happened? You think Asuma's putting hands to Itachi? He takes out basically 4 separate Jonin by himself.
With vastly separate abilities and strengths. And you think it's because Sasuke was wishy-washy that he couldn't do this?
Hey, guess what? Naruto was right there. He could do nothing against the two of them. Even though he had the friendship, even though he was getting stronger.
Hey, even with this conviction, Itachi still would have beat him if he wasn't diseased. Itachi was literally dying already and almost still killed Sasuke.
This conviction thing is false. It's about strength. Now, you could be like, if he had known the whole, if I kill my best friend, I will get the strength. But he didn't know that up until that point. So you can't even be like, if he had just gone down that path, he would have got the Mangekyo Sharingan and then maybe would have been able to do something. No, he was going down his path. He got diverted a little. And now you're just like, well, if he had gone fully down that path, he would have won. No, Itachi's a monster.
A legitimate monster.
And humiliated by the man he sought to kill, Sasuke's indecision had reached a breaking point. Would he abandon his quest for vengeance, or would he abandon his comrades? Unlike Gaara, Sasuke had tried both, and based on his own experiences, he decided that he couldn't walk the same path as Naruto.
Wow, based on what though? What experiences? Because before he had friends and stuff and was learning things proper, he could do a fireball jutsu and he was pretty good with some kunais and some fake genjutsus and all that crap. Afterwards, he gets the Sharingan, he gets the Chidori, he gets the framework for his taijutsu. What what did he not get based on his friendship?
Legitimately.
Because he grew exponentially after he got friends, as opposed to the 6 years where he was just like, hey, yo, I'm pretty good at hand-to-hand combat, yo.
And you're going that Naruto is... Sasuke can't walk down the same path as Naruto, but you've already said that Naruto is growing stronger because of his friends. So Sasuke should be able to realize, oh, it's the friends that's making him stronger. I should go down that path. But he just goes, nah, I can't walk down that path. And you're just accepting it.
His rival's shadow. And so, Sasuke chose revenge and left the village.
I've always really liked that shot.
When
Very
Naruto
lame,
finally
very
confronted
cheesy.
Sasuke in the Valley of the End, he lacked the same level of understanding that led him to victory against Neji and Gaara. Rather than challenge Sasuke on his ideals, he instead attempted to guilt-trip him. Our peers risked their lives to bring you back. Orochimaru killed the third Hokage. Does Konoha mean nothing to you? To Sasuke, these were non sequiturs. He didn't care about what other people had done, he cared only about power and how to attain it. So what if Orochimaru killed the third Hokage?
Pause. So what could he say to him in that moment? There is nothing that he can say. There is no ideals that he can match. There is no seeing eye to eye.
And it just was not happening.
He wants a completely different thing. The ideals of Gaara parallel the ideals of Naruto. The ideals of Sasuke do not parallel the ideals of Naruto.
Would make Sasuke stronger. To win Sasuke over, Naruto needed to convince him that the path offered by Orochimaru, the path of hatred, was not the path to power. And to do that, he needed to fight and defeat Sasuke. So they fought. But because Naruto couldn't understand Sasuke and tried to drag him back to Konoha by force, he lost.
Wow. So Naruto needed to beat him to prove him wrong, but since he tried to beat him, he lost.
So what changed at the final fight?
He finally understood him.
Yeah, but they fought after that.
Yes, they did.
And then Sasuke went, why do you try so hard? Why you know the answer.
Yep. That's what happened.
So I don't...
It was just because of the convictions that he lost. No other reasons. This fights mean nothing. It's all about the ideology. It's all about the themes. It's all about what they're trying to say, as opposed to what's happening.
What was Kakazu and Hidan trying to say?
We're not talking about that. That has nothing to do with the Talk No Jutsu. They were not Talk No Jutsu'd.
Oh, so Talk No Jutsu only has to do with conviction.
Yes. And it failed because
he lost. His Talk No Jutsu failed. Meanwhile, Sasuke had understood and even acknowledged Naruto's efforts, which allowed him to win on this day. In the future,
I understand your efforts, Naruto, and because of that, I victorious.
Yes, that's what allowed him to win. Didn't you see him getting that 3 Tomoe? And what about the final clash where the Sharingan meant nothing? It was just about the strength of the Chidori versus the Rasengan. Whatever. That was the moment that Sasuke won.
Why were they floating after the clash?
It was symbolic.
So they weren't actually floating?
Correct.
So, what happened with the Chidori and the Rasengan?
Big ball happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then they punched. And Naruto slashed. And then Sasuke punched. And Naruto got blown away. And it was not the clash that knocked him out. It was the blowback. And then he hit his head on a rock. And then he got knocked out. That's what did it. So if he had actually tried to hit Sasuke, he would have also hit his head on the rock. And then maybe would have woken up first and then dragged him back. Refuted. Dude, it's stupid. It's terrible. Because basically the same thing happened with Obito and Naruto. They just entered like a white void. And I guess this is just a thing.
Shouldn't it be?
No.
Oh.
It's terrible.
In the future, Naruto would learn from his mistakes, and these two would clash.
I will say, I do like her editing of the whole, this is
the bars
4-3 and this is 16-9.
That's good. That's a good idea.
From his mistakes, and these two would clash again. But before that, the pain of his failure would grow even larger.
Okay, are we not okie dokie in there?
Granny Chio.
I mean, she definitely changed.
But I wasn't expecting this. This don't matter.
I guess if you're just shoehorning in whatever, maybe you can hit that time.
30 minutes. 32 minutes. Are we really going to be like, all right, this is going to be 3 minutes and then 15 and 15 wrap up? What?
But maybe there's something else in there, like Itachi or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there is an Itachi in there.
わしのしてきたことは間違いばかりじゃった。しかし
Dang, was Shippuden still 4-3?
Look like it.
最後になって正しいことがやっとできそうじゃ。
The next two story arcs highlighted Naruto's struggle to move past his loss. Hot off the heels of a 3-year time skip, Naruto had a new look, a better grasp of his abilities, and an enhanced feeling of inadequacy, knowing that the power of the nine-tailed fox was slowly eating away at his psyche and on the verge of triggering a severe mental breakdown at a moment's notice. Worse still, another one of his comrades was abducted, and just like last time, there was nothing he could do to prevent it. In typical Naruto fashion, he plunged headfirst into the...
Gaara was abducted in a whole separate village. It's in the middle of the night.
It's not like he failed. It's not like Naruto was like, hey, you know, if I had...
It's not like they got word like, yeah, Deodora's coming here on the 13th at this time, and Naruto was like, whatever. What could you do against that?
Fashion, he plunged headfirst into the Kazekage rescue mission, but because he couldn't keep his emotions in check, he accomplished next to nothing. The only character who actually benefited from his inclusion was Lady Chio. Her contradiction was that she burdened the next generation with her generation's problems, yet had no faith in them, and took no actions to help them bear that burden. In other words...
Isn't that like the third Hokage?
Isn't that like the fourth? Isn't that like every generation ever to the next generation?
She wouldn't take responsibility for them, but expected them to take responsibility for her. This dichotomy was strengthened by her reluctance to accept help from other villages, and she even went so far as to say that friendly alliances are fundamentally impossible. This was why Naruto impacted her so greatly. Despite belonging to...
Why is she suddenly using comic?
A very good question.
Impacted her so greatly. Despite belonging to a different village, he was able to connect to Gaara in a way that no other sand ninja could. At the same time, he denounced the flaws.
Y'all didn't try.
Yeah, y'all didn't even try.
Like, that's the problem.
Understanding.
They all hated him. Gaara was like, here's your ball, and then they went, ugh.
They spit on his face and kicked his nuts.
And they're like, oh man, why aren't people connecting to Gaara? Like, what? We never saw a single person try. And the person that did try did connect with them and then went, yo, I'm about to blow myself up though. And you going with me.
We tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Yeah, why isn't this working? Why isn't actively hating him making him connect with us?
Why is it doing nothing, doing something?
Why can't we change this little boy's life and his whole ideology by doing nothing?
I don't get it. Like, are we the problem? This kid in a whole different village could do it? How is that possible?
Hey, Granny Chio, why don't you change your ideas? Nah.
Nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm good. No thanks. But we should change his.
Yeah, that's the problem. Don't look over here.
I'm cool.
My stuff has worked for 40 years. He been here for 6 and killing people. Like, Look over there.
Practices that had led Gaara to this tragic situation. The flawed practices that Lady Chiyo had taken responsibility for. Since Naruto hadn't actually backed his words with meaningful action like in the past, however, Chiyo needed to face her contradiction through an outside party. She needed a battle of her.
So why is this in this video?
I'm guessing this is the hope and hypocrisy part as opposed to the talk no jutsu part.
But I would assume that the hypocrisy part was like the Nechi stuff.
I don't know. Maybe she'll get to it.
Strengthen her doubts. And that's exactly why she fought Sasori. Her grandson was a prime example of what...
That was not a good way to say Sasori.
Sure.
Sick ideals had created. An emotionless puppet who
Bam!
felt nothing, even at the prospect of a close family member dying. To put it another way, you could say that Sasori viewed family...
Oh, wait, no. Okay, this is something else. Though, in keeping with the Gaara parallel, he had a similar contradiction. He couldn't truly become a puppet because he needed a human heart to survive.
So I guess this point wasn't important enough to actually add this in, and it doesn't change her points at all that she had to just add this in. So, like, this is that's why I've always hated the little like I'm gonna just add this in post, because like that if you're thinking that this strengthens your argument, that means that it changes it. And if you're changing your argument, you might as well just say it.
Yeah, I am not a fan of adding to your point in post. Like, if it was just like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm getting a much less text on screen mad because there are good text on screen. Like, H-Bomber Guy does a lot of good text on screen.
But H-Bomber Guy will also go, hey, while I was editing, I found this out.
This is true. It's like text on screen to help as opposed to it being the content itself.
Yeah. Like the very recent vaccine one where it was just like this person was who had their kid experimented on became the CEO for the company, and that was obviously a tit for tat thing. And then the lady was just like, "Look, in editing, I'm just gonna say allegedly because I don't want to get sued."
Yeah. The doctor. Oh wait, there was a problem in my script. Disgraced former doctor.
I hate that H-Bomber Guy only got like 15 videos.
Dude, he's so good.
Another way, you could say that Sasori viewed family as mere hulls of flesh connected by hatred and murderous intent. Not only had Chiyo's generation led Gaara to be tormented by Shukaku and alienated from the entire village, but they had also birthed a member of the...
No, they did not cause him to be alienated. The people themselves alienated him.
Yes.
Because they could have just went, hey, yo, thanks for the ball, Gaara.
Yes. The Hokage could have been just like, look, let's humor him. Don't make him mad. He will not kill you. Yes, I know he's creepy. Yes, I know he got the sand and all that. Just humor him. Thank him for the ball. Thank him for the medicine. Let him make you sandy sandwiches.
You don't need to be a friend to him, but be cool to him.
Be cordial to him. Treat him like any other stranger.
Katsuki, the very same organization that had already killed one Kazekage and had now taken another in Gaara. She had made two huge mistakes, but who was it that arrived to clean up her mess? Why, none other than Konoha.
Wow, what a stretch. What a f***ing stretch. Konoha does not have the ideals that you think that they have. Konoha sucks. They were doing the same Naruto just happened to turn out good.
Worse, as a matter of fact, because at least there was somebody appointed to Gaara.
At least he had actual siblings. Konoha lucked out
that he did not just go full genocide.
Because imagine if Naruto was a Gaara. With the Nine Tails doing the Shukaku.
He would have gotten mad. The Nine Tails would have like, release the seal and we'll get him. And he would have. Gaara's walking down the streets killing people. You think Naruto, given a chance, given him one bad day, wouldn't have done that?
But who was it that arrived to clean up her mess? Why, none other than Konoha, the same village.
And they didn't show up to clean up her mess. They showed up to save Gaara. That's my friend. Let's go.
Yes.
Because it's not like he tried to clean up 2 through 7.
I was about to say it's also a high-ranking Kage who needs help. So you send out very strong people to help. And Stone Country. No. This isn't called Stone Country. This is called Naruto.
To clean up her mess? Why, none other than Konoha, the same village she had avoided in the past. She had been proven definitively wrong. And that's why the...
About what? Help. Needing help. Wanting help. Asking for help. Family.
The Vin Diesel meme was never funny. There were parts that were funny, but it itself was never funny.
It was funny like 3 times. There was one where it was Vin Diesel doing the father-son Kamehameha with Goten and Gohan. And there was like 1 or 2 others that I laughed at. The rest are just like, I got it.
The problem is, you know the punchline.
Yeah, the punchline is there. The best part is when the punchline isn't there. When people are just like, Don, don't do this. Like, you've ruined it already. But when it's just like Broly going, ha ha ha.
And then he gets hit by something on the side, and then Dom's pulling up in family. It's different at least.
Yeah, it's different at least.
Lady who had previously displayed no hope for the future of the village sacrificed her life to save the one who would lead that village to a brighter future.
What was that about Kakuzu and Hidan not being... This is starting to be okie-doke territory. Because I don't know where she's going with this. I have no idea where this could possibly go. Kyo herself was a stretch.
Absolutely.
What is this? This is starting to be okie-doke territory. Because there are like 4 to 5 legit cases to defend. What is this? Is she just going to go through every villain that Naruto faced?
Because he was just Rasengan through the heart and torn apart.
What could this possibly be?
There was no ideological exchange.
And what was the contradiction of Chio?
Whoops.
確かにチームワークは大事だ。危ない橋ってことも分かってる。でも今俺はその危ない橋を一人で渡りたいんだってばよ。向こうへたどり着けなきゃ俺はいつまで経ってもガキのままだ。
Akatsuki's suppression was the only Naruto-focused arc that didn't include an instance of Talk No Jutsu, and as such, it's a good example of what the series could have been without this thematic through line. Unlike the other antagonists I've covered...
What was disappointing?
What it could have been.
No.
It could have been disappointing without that thematic through line. That's what she was saying. She said, this is what it could have been, and what it could have been was disappointing. Because you know what happens? Kakuzu is just a wall, and Naruto develops a jutsu that tears them apart at a molecular level, and nothing is learned from them. No ideology is shared nor exchanged.
But it was a Shika arc. It was about Hidan and Shika.
Yes.
This is one of the best arcs in Naruto.
Disappointing. There's no thematic through line here. What was he done lonely? We don't know, so we can't even like thematically connect him to Naruto.
Was he done lonely?
Example of what the series could have been without this thematic through line. Unlike the other antagonists I've covered, Kakuzu didn't possess an ideological contradiction that Naruto was meant to challenge. Instead, he served to advance Naruto's relationship with Sasuke. After failing to retrieve Sasuke during the aptly...
See? It wasn't a change of ideals. It was just big, strong punch man. And it's like...
And thus it's disappointing because there's not a thematic thing,
Absolutely.
overarching thing.
Absolutely. You don't see it? You can't connect this. You take this out, what changes? Oh, Naruto got stronger. How did Naruto change? How did Naruto grow? What did Naruto learn? That's the point that's being made here.
At this point, isn't she just saying that everything is repeating?
Yes.
And she's explaining why the repetition is good?
Yes.
And then when it diverges from the repetition, she's going, it would have been disappointing?
Yes.
How is this?
I do.
named mission, Naruto entered a downward spiral. His only real achievement during the Kazekage rescue arc was his influence on Lady Chiyo. Otherwise, he wasn't there to protect Gaara. He fell under Itachi's Genjutsu, which only strengthened the sting of his failures. He did basically nothing to take down Deidara or Sasori. He threw a tantrum that nearly initiated a partial Ninetales transformation. Sure, if he hadn't confronted Chiyo like he did, Gaara might not have been revived, but as Naruto's last encounter with Sasuke showed, words alone weren't enough to bring Sasuke back. Naruto needed power if he was going to change Sasuke's mind, and he displayed none of that here. So, when the
No power in the Itachi thing, or the what?
Or the Kuzan thing? Or what?
Kakuzu.
Oh, sorry.
Kuzan is Ao.
Sasuke's mind,
yes.
and he displayed none of that here. So, when the Tenchi Bridge mission took place, Naruto failed utterly. He wasn't just unsuccessful in persuading Sasuke, he barely registered on the dude's radar. After his face had been hidden for the entire arc, the first time we got to see Sasuke post-time skip was when he was looking down on Team 7 as if they were ants. This wasn't the same Naruto whom Sasuke had acknowledged just before the time skip. This wasn't the same Naruto that had stood across from him in the Valley of the End. This was a weak, pathetic Naruto who begged and cried and bowed his head.
He did that in the Valley of the End fight!
Yes. So are you saying, is she saying that Naruto's convictions have weakened and therefore he was not strong enough to do anything in this moment, or what? Because if it's all about convictions and ideologies and what? If you look at this, Sasuke's path was the correct one. Because he could have killed all four of them.
And Kakashi. Oh yeah, 4. Yeah,
Pretty easily. So, what does it say about convictions? What does it say about Sasuke's size, Kakashi's conviction versus Sasuke's versus Naruto's?
Versus Sakura's.
Are you telling me that Naruto's conviction wavered throughout those 2-3 year time skips, and thus he was not able to grow to the strengths that Sasuke's was because he had that straight and narrow conviction? What's the point here?
And cried and bowed his head. He didn't confront Sasuke like before, and instead said dejected things like, "Why didn't you kill me?" and "If someone can't even save a friend, I don't think they deserve to be Hokage." He'd lost confidence in himself, in his ideals, and if Naruto didn't believe in what he was saying, why would Sasuke? By the time Akatsuki suppression rolled around...
Pause. But there's nothing that Naruto could have done there. Convictions or no. Him asking, why didn't you kill me or no. Sasuke was just stronger.
Yeah, if he believed in all of his words, nothing changes. Sasuke doesn't come back. Naruto doesn't become stronger.
Sasuke, he doesn't beat Sasuke up. Nothing changes.
You're reading way too much into this.
Legit. And that's why I stopped listening to the podcast. They're like, oh my goodness, the in last arc of Fairy Tail, and they're talking about the thematic stuff. I'm like, but what about all the bad stuff that happened? They're not. See, she's not talking about the fights. She's talking about the ideological exchanges and stuff
And
like
the
that.
thematic
That's
nuance.
why people won. That's why people lost. Not because of strength, but because they wavered in their convictions, and therefore they were beaten.
Okay, why isn't Sakura winning?
Why wasn't Sai winning? He was
Anbu at this point.
very emotionally shut down.
He was basically like, look, yeah, I'll never be Sasuke because I'm not the type of mother that would abandon a friend. So
Punks.
he sucks. So of course I will never be that. What you say?
I don't want to be that. Why would I want to be that? Why would I want to be a
Hey, hold
treacherous
up,
snake?
hold up.
Oh, you defending him? Why can't he defend himself? Oh, he not here.
My heart don't know. Panic attack.
Akatsuki's suppression rolled around, Naruto was desperate for a win. He didn't care about inspiring anyone, he just wanted to prove to himself that his hopes and ideals were worth defending. Kakuzu's
Hopes and ideals were worth defending? How does this prove it by beating Kakuzu?
Seriously. You say that he wasn't interested in talking to anybody, but then you also said that Kakuzu didn't have an idea that was hypocritical and thus could be changed. So there was what are you gonna? Why are you doing this, Kakuzu? I like money. Do you? I guess I don't.
Yeah, but money is a hypothetical, hypocritical thing in the framework of the ninja world. Because I actually don't like money, but I need it to survive. So I force myself to get as much as possible because I was broke as a kid.
Is that what would be considered not disappointing?
worth defending. Kakuzu served as Naruto's fodder, but that's the primary issue with his character. Kakuzu was largely disconnected from the two emotional payoffs in this arc, and that made him an underwhelming antagonist. He mostly stood on the sidelines when Hidan fought Asuma,
Which is why people who complain that Asuma Squad needed to also get revenge on Kakuzu are silly. Kakuzu was there and helped kill him.
Yes.
stood on the sidelines when Hidan fought Asuma, and he offered no ideological conflict to Naruto.
Pause. But if there was in grocery shooting and two people were there and one person was shooting and the other person was like, yeah, shoot her, I'd be mad at both. Both can get these hands.
He was just there to take the L, and that's a real shame. One of the most interesting aspects of Naruto is watching the titular knucklehead interact with these twisted parallels of himself and battle them on an ideological.
This is a real Batman argument, and I'm not for it.
You're not?
No, I don't care that Two-Face represents the dichotomy between the more cunning and analytical Bruce Wayne and the monster he sees himself as. I don't give a is the arc good?
Her argument is that Naruto needs to face these aspects of himself in order to grow. He's challenging other people who are also himself, and thus
How did he grow
grows.
from Neji? How did he grow from Kyo?
He was also right there. He's right in a bunch of these, so he's not really growing.
If anything, he's just reaffirming what he believes.
But then you see her ideology, it's just like, this fight was not interesting because it says nothing to Naruto's character, the other person's character, how they interact with each other, him clashing ideologies, nothing like that. Didn't even mention the fight itself. It was just like Naruto got stronger, but it wasn't at the cost of there was no conversation here or anything, and therefore it's not as good as something like a Gaara.
Okay, but then what was the purpose of saying that Naruto needed this to grow and prove his ideology and stuff if there's nothing there to explore that?
I don't know.
Did parallels of himself and battle them on an ideological level as well as a physical one. But while I do ultimately defend this Talk no Jutsu motif, This was one example where the subject could have been given a little more nuance. If
We've said so many times that there's... Shut up about nuance. We've said, shut up.
Dude,
We've said so many times there's nothing wrong with the wall.
they outright say the things they say. There is no nuance there.
Yes.
It's
I
outright-
love killing because I want to feel alive, and this is the only way that I feel alive because I was not loved as a child. Okay. But
What
if-
is subtle about that? I was treated the same way you were treated, but you got friends while I didn't, so I fell deeper into that depression while you perked up. What was the nuance there? What was the subtlety and the subtext there? They are outright saying their ideas and clashing with them. There is no nuance. And more nuance does not equal more quality. It does not make a thing better because there's some subtext behind the words that were said. Was it good? Point blank, period. Why was it good? Not simply because nuance. Everything surrounding it. I don't care if you beat me over the head with the message if what you write is good. I don't care if you lay out 1,000 breadcrumbs for me to dissect it myself if the thing itself is bad. Nuance means nothing. Jesus.
The English language was a mistake.
I think the adaptation of the English language was a mistake. the
stretching.
Yeah, the implementation of the English language was a mistake.
People just using words and not thinking about their implications and what they mean and
Like,
what they're trying to say. And
Like Literal Mavic when we were talking about his Jujutsu Kaisen video, and he's just like, what I meant by more dynamic. No, the definition is this.
doesn't matter what you mean. We can't look into your mind and figure out what you meant. It's what you said.
This mother said the nuance of my point. The nuance of my video. Y'all just using words. And I understand because I read a lot of books and there are a lot of times you're reading.
Dude, legit, I turned my head like, and I already did that joke.
So I read books, and there are a lot of times where I don't know the definition of the word, but I know the context into which. Yes.
So important.
Because our brother was like, how do you know that word and what it means? And he asked me point blank what the word means. And I said, I don't know what it means. I looked it up, and I was like, but I know I'm using it in the right context. And I looked it up, and I was. You can do that, but when you're putting out a video, you should know the words you are using and making sure they're correct. A scripted video, I can understand if you're on a podcast and you're going to nuance and then somebody's like, that's not what that means. But in a scripted video it would have made it more nuanced. Again, that does not make it better. And Naruto outright says the things that they're talking about in their ideology. Not people picking up the pieces and putting it together and figuring it out. Outright stating it.
People explain their problems and where they're coming from, and then Naruto goes, no, you're wrong. I also went through something like that, and I overcame it, and then they lose.
Been given a little more nuance. If Kakuzu had possessed some sort of ideology that Naruto could have challenged, the battle between them could have been far more memorable.
So it's
that's
everything.
All it takes.
If everything was the exact same,
but they had one conversation, it would have been so much better.
It was just an okay fight because Kakuzu and Kakashi overtook it. This is just kind of the ending of it.
Yeah.
And it's really just to showcase the new jutsu.
There's nothing wrong with a wall. You constantly say that.
Nappa's a wall. He's super memorable.
Yeah.
That mean? Zarbon is a wall. He's super memorable. I don't know his ideology besides follow Frieza.
What's the ideological differences between Enelu and Luffy?
Nothing.
Hurt people versus help people? Above people versus people of the people?
No,
what?
because Luffy hurts people.
Yeah, you're right. Still great, still memorable.
And they both just want to go on an adventure.
They do.
Enelu wants to go to the moon. Disgusting.
Yeah. See, that's her mindset, like I said. Doesn't matter what's in the fight itself, it just matters if there is a tying, something I can tie into this. Doesn't mention the fight. Doesn't mention anything about the fight between Naruto and Sasuke or how it progressed or anything. I understand that's not the purpose of this video, but that's really all she's looking at.
Naruto didn't need the ideological victory here, though. He could have still defeated Kakuzu without Talk No Jutsu. You can write a character with conviction and problematic ideals who still loses in the end. Just look at Stain from My Hero Academia. This failure to change Kakuzu would have played into the mixed feelings Naruto had after their fight.
I don't know what this is.
I don't either. I'm unaware of what's the situation that is unfurling in front of us.
Played into the mixed feelings Naruto had after their fight. The after effects of the Rasen Shuriken were already meant to undercut his victory and prevent him from fully escaping his downward spiral before Jiraiya's death, and this added weight would have accentuated his desire to connect with pain even more.
Shut the up about weight. And how do you know it would have added weight? Based on your fan fiction in your mind of what it would have been? Because that is still a very weighty thing. Mm-hmm. How would it have added weight? Because what if the ideology was, hey, killing people is a shinobi job, so I'm just doing my job. I don't need to protect nobody. I don't give a sh. And Naruto fights against that. How would that have added weight to pain? It would not have.
It really
based on what based on the specific thing you're probably thinking in your mind, it would have added weight. But just a clashing of ideology alone does not add weight to a future encounter. Because how did Neji add weight to Gaara?
Really didn't. That was about fate and destiny and what you're shackled to be, as opposed to the crippling loneliness and what it does to a person. Yeah.
So there is no indication that it would have added more weight. And more weight, again, means 0.
And there's also plenty of weight with the Rasen Shuriken hurting him. He's rushing into getting power as opposed to slowly perfecting it. So it's just like you can't even use that jutsu that is amazing because it can hurt you because you didn't perfect it. He's going down the Sasuke right of just like, because of the Sasuke thing, he's going like, I need power right now. And he develops a dangerous technique.
Desire to connect with pain even more. As things turned out, this arc, which lacked Talk No Jutsu, definitely didn't measure up to the ones that had it.
It's one of the best arcs in all of Naruto. Sasuke retrieval trash.
You don't need Talk No Jutsu when you got the great stuff going on with Hidan and Shika over there. That's some good stuff over there. Shika figuring out what it means to be the king and protecting people and all that stuff. It doesn't need Talk No Jutsu. It's got plenty, but it also just has this wall.
Do you think this arc is better? Worse than the War arc? How could you?
Is this worse than Sasuke retrieval because it had that little bit of Talk No Jutsu?
Absolutely not.
So
you think this is worse than the Kage Summit?
Like,
that sucked. You think this is worse than the formation of Heavy?
you don't like the Heavy.
The Heavy trash! Dude, it's so bad!
It's really bad. because it just didn't have Talk No Jutsu. No matter what it does have, it didn't have Talk No Jutsu. It didn't have a clashing of ideologies with our main protagonist, and therefore it is worse for it.
Jutsu definitely didn't measure up to the ones that had it. What it did do, however, was give Naruto the confidence he needed to confront his toughest obstacle yet.